this is Virgin on the Ridiculous. It's possibly not going to work because we're in a very noisy car, but we will see how we go. What's the idea behind this little podcast, Jenna?
I am a movie virgin to literally every single movie on the planet that's either not Disney or... Oh, there's a rare few movies that I have seen, but yeah, most movies, if you name it, I've not seen it. So the idea behind this podcast is that Brenton is going to educate me on some movie critique, and I'm going to put in my 10 cents worth. I think that's the idea.
That's
anyway.
the idea.
Brenton may have a different idea.
No, that's right. So we're talking about a movie today that is directed by Lurhman.
I know him, yes.
Do you know what the movie might be?
Is it the new one of the in Japan with the dogs?
That is Wes Anderson.
Okay. this is okay. So this is the whole reason why Brenton has chosen to do this with me. No, I have no idea then who
So it stars Leonardo DiCaprio and Claire Danes. Oh, look, what else could you say about it? Peter Postlethwaite was in it.
Leonardo, he's the Titanic man.
Yes, Titanic man. And the script was written by a man called William Shakespeare.
Oh, is this Romeo and Juliet?
Yes.
I have not seen that movie, nor have I read the book.
Do you know what happens?
Yes.
What do you know about?
They, basically, he's forbidden to love her. He chooses to love her anyway, and she thinks that he doesn't love her, so she kills herself, and then he kills himself. Or something along those lines, maybe the other way around, I don't know.
Alright, so where we...
There's lots of dying.
So this is, yeah, there's lots of dying. So this is the Baz Luhrmann adaptation, so it's not the same as the play entirely. There's a few differences.
Is this the one where it's set in modern times?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the original's based in, they're both based in Verona, but in the original it's in Italy, Verona, Italy, and in the modern one it is like Verona Beach, which is in Florida, I think, Miami.
So that's kind of a cool twist on words, isn't it? Places on places.
So there's a lot of that. Everybody, like the guns, everyone has guns, and the brand.
Sword?
Yeah, well, the guns are called swords. Like that's you have a 32mm sword or whatever, and a dagger and all that sort of stuff. So it opens with, so that the play opens with like a chorus which tells you everything that's going to happen, and the movie does the same thing. It sort of has big, like operatic singing.
So is it a musical?
It's not a musical, no. No, Baz Luhrmann always uses a lot of music, but it's not a musical.
So how does the music tell you what's going to happen if it's not?
Well, there's a big music. The music's behind this montage that basically, firstly, the voiceover tells you everything that's going to happen in the old Shakespearean language. And we see flashes of everything that's going to happen too. So, like, we see a flash of the wedding. We see a flash of Romeo walking down the into the tomb, Juliet's tomb. So we see a flash of everything that's going to happen before we even start the movie.
Okay.
To kind of keep it in line with what Shakespeare did, which is tell us exactly this is what we're going to see happen in this play. So then we meet the Montague boys. So the Montagues are like one of the families, and
they geese. I always think of them as being geese.
No, they have nothing to do with geese.
Well, Montagoose.
Montagoose, yeah, not a Montagoose. So they pull up, and they're
Montague like a ferret.
I don't think it's an animal reference at all.
Oh. So just in case anybody isn't aware who may possibly be listening to this, we're driving from Cairns to Townsville.
Jen
I am
is
the
holding
driver.
the phone and
I am the driver, and Grayson keeps moving his feet on top of sushi packets,
put that
which
away.
are causing all of that crackling noise. I've never known someone to record something and make so much noise. But carry on with your Montagues.
So the Montagues, and they're hanging out, they're talking shit, making themselves sound like big men, and then in come the Capulets. And they're tough shit. Like, the Capulets are kind of vicious, which is interesting because I think traditionally... Oh, no, that's... I was going to make a point, but I was going to be wrong. Anyway, they encounter each other, and they sort of get into this thing. They sort of, one of them goes, I'll bite my thumb. I'll bite my thumb at them, which will insult them, and then they'll start a fight because the prince is sick of this shit. So the prince is sick of it. He wants just to. He says, you have to finish up. You can't keep fighting each other in the street. You're disturbing our peace. And so they sort of get around that by saying, okay, I'll make them start the fight.
So how has this kind of been made into like a modern day thing? Like, what's the modern day?
So they meet at a petrol station.
Are they like gangsters fighting, street fighting?
There's like bored kids, like bored large adult sons, like
Right.
bored, old. I guess I don't know, like
Young adults.
bored young adults. Like Romeo's very much a young person. Tybalt comes out, and he is John Leguizamo. He comes out. He's really a real piece of work. They're fighting John Leguizamo. They're fighting, and Romeo's friend Benvolio. Okay, or Romeo's cousin Benvolio. What's up?
Romeo has a friend called Benvolio.
Yeah, Romeo's cousin. Benvolio.
Who named these kids?
They're old names.
Okay.
Italian names, I guess.
I'm gonna call my next dog Benvolio.
Go for it.
Benvolio.
Benvolio, we haven't even got past the first scene yet. Oh my gosh. Benvolio.
I'm sorry, I'll be serious.
No, it's so good. Benvolio is like, you guys have to stop. The prince has forbidden it. And then Tybalt comes out, and he like has these fairly smooth moves. Like he's smoking cigars and like flipping his gun. He's like, Benvolio's like, oh man, I just want peace. And he goes, peace? I hate that word. Like I hate hell, all Montagues, and thee. And then they fight. And it's crazy. They end up setting the petrol station on fire. They're running through cars, shooting at each other in public. The prince, in fact, it's not the prince in the thing, it's in the movie, it's Captain Prince.
Okay.
So the police chief, Captain Prince. And Captain Prince comes out and says, you have disrupted our peace 3 times now. If you do it again, your lives will be forfeit. So, like, if you fuck up again, you will be executed.
Okay.
So then we see Romeo's parents come up. We haven't met Romeo yet. And they're like, oh, Benvolio, what's up? Like, so the parents want to get involved too. Like, the whole families hate each other. And even the parents are like, there's a great line where, I don't even know if it's in the movie, but he's like, a sword, a sword. And then his wife goes, I can't even remember which parents, but a crutch, why call you for a sword? So she's saying, like, you don't need a sword, old man, you need a crutch. Like, stop this shit. And Romeo's parents come by, they're like, where is Romeo? Benvolio says, I don't know.
Is this where they say, wherefore art thou?
No, that's, that means something different. That's Juliet a little bit later.
That means, like, are you really
like, why are you Romeo?
Yeah.
But we get to that in a moment.
Okay.
Where's Romeo? Oh, he's moping around, being miserable. I'll go find out why he's so sad. Benvolio goes out to see Romeo. He's sitting around writing stuff in his book. Benvolio's like, okay, come with me, man. Tell me what's up. So they go play pool together, work out what's wrong, Romeo. And he basically tells him I'm in love with a girl, and her name is Rosaline.
Who's in love with Rosaline?
Romeo.
Not Juliet.
No.
A different girl.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's like, I'm deeply in love with Rosaline, but she has sworn that she will remain chaste. So she won't ope her lap to Saint Seducing Gold.
Right.
So she's not.
Keeping her legs closed.
Yeah, she's not having any of it. So.
But Juliet will put out.
Well, we haven't met Juliet yet.
Oh, okay.
They get and they're on the TV
I think she'll put out.
on the TV in the pool station in the pool the small bar where they're playing pool. They see on TV. Mrs. Capulet is there saying, "If you don't belong to the Montagues, come and crush a cup of wine at the Montague party." So then we meet. So if you're not the Montagues, come have a.
It's very confusing, Brendan.
Well, sorry, if you're not a Montague, come to the Capulets party. So now we're about to meet the Capulets.
We've just met them. They had a fight in the street.
Yeah. Okay. So there were some of some of the Capulet lads and
Okay.
Tybalt, who's important.
So it is like gangster feuds.
It's kind of like gangster feuds, yeah, I guess. But like it's over nothing. Like they say that it's like bred of an airy word. So it's like it's nothing. It's come from nothing. It's about nothing.
So you're not just familiar with the movie.
No.
You're kind of merging the plot of the movie with the plot of the book right now, trying to tell me what's happening.
The play and the movie are actually very, very close together.
Okay.
The main difference is just that they we're going with the movie here, but the main difference is just that they it's modernized. The movie is modernized, but it's also so I didn't mention this. The language is the same.
Yeah, that's really weird because like modern day people don't speak like they're in a Shakespearean play.
Yeah, but that was the creative choice that Baz Luhrmann made, was to keep the language exactly the same. For whatever reason.
I'd be able to watch it.
Well, see, because they give you all these like visual cues instead, so they're like sort of showing to you, like they use tone of voice and the way people say things, the action, all that, you know. So it's very, very close. Like it's surprisingly close. They so we meet the Capulets, and the Capulets are obviously very rich. They're pretty posh, and Juliet's. We have a few people here. We have Juliet's mum, and we have Juliet's nurse, who's just kind of.
Does she need a nurse?
Well, so she's called the nurse in the play.
Is she like the nanny, like the breast.
Yeah,
mother?
so they still refer to her as nurse, but she's obviously this kind of servant kind of character, and she's this Latino elderly lady who is quite close to the nurse character.
In the play?
In the play, she's just like an elderly lady. She's she's really quite.
So there's no kind of racial connotations in the play?
Not with the nurse, no. Shakespeare does do race, sort of like does talk about race explicitly, but not really in Romeo and Juliet.
Okay.
Unless that's I think there's like, the only thing I can think of is like, I think he talks about Juliet being like a jewel in an Ethiop's ear or something. I'm not sure if that's Romeo and Juliet though. That might be a different play.
Okay.
They're posh and they say, Juliet, we are thinking of marrying you off basically to the County Paris, who is like the most eligible bachelor in Verona.
And is he a dickhead? Is she like, fuck that?
Well, she's kind of into it at first.
Oh.
He's kind of like a nerd. Like he's a bit of a nerd. He like sort of tries too hard. Like this rich kid who he's just he's very cringe. He's like, hey, I'm Paris.
Oh, yeah,
how you doing, Julie?
I know someone else like that.
Yeah. Well, he's also rich though. But he's very cringe. She's like, yeah, sounds good. Okay. And so.
Is he a bit like Lord Farquaad?
Not so much. He's just a bit wet. He's just like a bit like a piece of lettuce that's been in the microwave too long.
Oh my gosh.
So we meet him, and
He puts lettuce in the microwave.
well, it's a metaphor. So then so that's going to be at what the party's all about. So it's a big party, but the key idea is to give Juliet and Paris a chance to meet.
Okay.
So,
But let me guess. Romeo is going to also attend this party
that's correct.
to meet his other women.
Well, right, because Rosaline's at the party.
Yeah.
So he says, I'm going there. So Benvolio says, come to this party and I'll point out some hotties, and that will teach you that there are still hot girls out there.
Plenty of fish in the sea.
Yeah. And he says, I will go to rejoice in splendor of my own. So I'm going to go and just kind of look at Rosaline all night like a bit of a
Like
pathetic...
a
yeah. So they go to the party, and they go with Mercutio as well.
Are we meant to like any of these characters? Are we meant to have any kind of, emotional fondness of them? Because at the moment they all sound a bit like either, perverts or kind of a bit... They're very unappealing, aren't they?
I think we are meant to enjoy them, and we're meant to be connected to them, but it's very much a morality tale. So Shakespeare is very, very much trying to teach us all a lesson, and basically and this is implied throughout the movie. There's big statues of Jesus. There's a lot of very sort of so Juliet's whole family is kind of in the modern one.
And of course, because Rosalind won't. She's not giving up her. That she wants to stay faithful. She doesn't want to lose her virginity to Romeo.
Yeah, well, I mean that's not really part of the morality tale. The morality tale is really.
Chastity, though? Like, doesn't she say, "I wish to remain chaste"?
Yeah. Well, we'll get to how that plays out with Romeo and Juliet, but basically it's a morality tale in the sense of everybody in the play has a fatal flaw. So everybody does something kind of wrong, and it results in their downfall.
Okay.
Which isn't giving away too much.
So a bit like Game of Thrones.
Later Game of Thrones, yeah. I think we'll do a Game of Thrones episode of this.
Okay.
But Game of Thrones...
Game of Thrones is about, like, everybody has good and bad traits.
Yeah, Game of Thrones is a bit more... is a bit hard to explain because there's early Game of Thrones and late Game of Thrones, and they kind of do different things. It's kind of... essentially, it's like kind of different moral universes. It gets a bit complex.
Okay, so everyone's invited to this party.
Except for the Montagues, but the Montagues go anyway.
Oh, why? Why would you bother?
Because Rosaline's there.
But no, that's surely only then Romeo would go.
Well,
but
all the kids are at the party. All the kids are at the party.
I would be so annoyed if my family all showed up to my fucking party.
Well,
with the person I wanted to root.
It's a masquerade.
Oh, the piggy.
Oh.
Did you see the piggy?
No.
Aha!
Okay.
I better just flash.
Was it on the side of the road?
Yeah, it was a wild pig.
Oh my gosh.
Just went.
Okay. So they go to the party. And Mercutio's there too. So Mercutio is Romeo's friend, and he has this really unusual monologue before they go in the party in the play. Like I see Queen Mab hath been with you, which is like this fairy, and he tells a big story. And in the play, they kind of in the movie, they kind of get through that by showing that Mercutio firstly is nuts, straight up nuts.
Oh, he has like this hallucination about a fairy.
No, it's an ecstasy pill, and it's a big metaphor for this.
Okay.
So they all take drugs, go there. Romeo loses his shit, and he goes in the bathroom, washes his face because he's like, whoa, too much, bad trip. Comes out and takes some time to himself in this room with a big fish tank.
Yeah, I have to say, I'm not liking any of these people.
Looks through the fish tank. Pretty fish.
And it's a face of
Pretty
Juliet.
Girl, it is, yeah.
Oh
so they
my
kind
God, that's so awful.
Well, it plays out alright. And Desiree.
This doesn't happen to people. Do you know how mucked up that would be if I was like standing behind a fish tank and someone was like, "Hey, look at all the fishes! Oh, look at that pretty fish!"
It's kind of a cute moment.
Oh man.
It's kind of a cute moment, and he sees her, and she gets dragged off, I think by her mother or by the nurse or somebody, to meet Paris. Gets dragged off, and then Romeo kind of flirts with her a bit. He's dressed as a knight, by the way. She's dressed as an angel.
Oh, great.
He does a bit of flirting with her. They end up kissing. They make out in the elevator, and then
with who? Who's he kissing?
Juliet.
Okay.
Yeah. So
he just fucked off.
Yes. Yeah. So that's great, because the moment he sees her, he has this great line, which is, Did my heart love till now, forswear its sight, for I never saw true beauty until this night.
Okay,
so he sees her and he has forgotten Rosaline straight up. Well, yeah, I mean, I think that we're meant to be critical of him. You know, I don't think we're meant to be like, oh yeah, like he was just waiting for true love. Like he obviously just sees someone and goes.
It's not even about true love. It's a bit like going through Tinder, isn't it?
Yeah, and like the priest. We'll get to the priest. So he's made out with Juliet, and then they get separated. And she says, "Nurse, who is that?" And she says, "He is Romeo, and he is a Montague, the son of your enemy." And Romeo asks, Romeo just looks up at her and goes, "Is she a Capulet?" And of course she is. So they leave Tybalt. Remember Tybalt?
Okay, yes. The guy you had a fight with at the start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tybalt sees them and goes, "Oh, I'm gonna fuck him up." You know, in Elizabethan.
What's his relation to Juliet? Because he's
cousin.
So they're not going to date anyway, are they? Because he's
he's like this. He like his feeling is this.
You know, get away from
Montague has come into. Well, he hasn't even seen with Juliet.
Oh.
He just knows he's at the party, and he's like, "This fucking Montague is in my house." And his father actually says, "Mate, this is Romeo. He's actually one of the better ones. Just leave him alone. I don't want there to be... This is a party. It's a Capulet party, and we want people to have a good time. Leave him alone." The Montagues leave.
But so the father likes Romeo. Then why does he not let him marry his daughter?
Well, I don't think he likes him that much.
Okay.
But Romeo never asks permission either.
He's a peacekeeper.
He's a peacekeeper at his party. Because he likes a good party.
Right.
The Montagues leave, but Romeo ditches his friends and climbs over the wall of the Capulets building and sneaks into the pool area. He sneaks up to Juliet's window, and then he realizes that she is monologuing to herself.
Because people just do that.
And that's when she says, "Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou Romeo? Deny thy father and refuse thy name, blah, 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 blah." So basically she says, why would you be Romeo? Because if you were called something else... So there's all this stuff about names and not judging people on a name. And it's but thy name that is thy enemy, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So
she's hooked up with this guy.
Yeah.
And that same night, she's worried because of her reputation and her family's reputation because he's part of the enemy.
Well, she's madly in love. It's not about reputation. She's like, she wants to be with him, and is like, it's impossible, but for this bullshit reason that his surname is Montague.
No, it's not. The reality is that nobody really wants to be in love, do they? They just want to root.
Well, I mean, there's an implication of that. I don't know. There's Romeo is in. Yeah. Romeo is in love with being in love. Juliet is, I think, very easily led. And then so this is everybody's like fatal flaw.
I'd run for the hills if someone loved me the first time I kissed them, and they. In fact, that happened to me. And
Did it?
It did, yes. I have told you this story. I won't bore everyone with that story, but it happened to me, and I was not impressed.
Romeo speaks eventually. Juliet realizes he's there, scares the shit out of her, which is a Lurhman Lurhman added that, because I think that's more normal.
Of course, if he's lurking around the fucking window, while she's like, da, 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 do I love him? Do I not love him? And he appears, fuck me. She
falls into the pool. They have a very sexy sort of conversation in the pool. Like, the conversation's not that sexy, but, there's a lot of very, very strong sexual tension. They agree to... they decide that there's only one thing to do.
Root.
Which is to get married.
Oh, yes, because, of course, you have to be married to root someone.
Well, yeah. I don't know.
I feel like there's a motive here. Romeo has a fucking motive.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. There's a great line, and Lurhman really, I think, plays it for all it's worth, where Romeo, who's a bit more worldly, I guess originally he's meant to be quite a bit older than Juliet too. She's maybe around 14, I think he's quite a bit older. And Romeo is like,
I don't like him.
She goes off to bed, and he goes, wilt thou leave me so unsatisfied? And she does very sweet and innocent Claire Danes. What satisfaction canst thou have tonight? And he goes for a good save, because he realizes she's not into it, and he's like, just the declaration or the swearing of your love for mine, or whatever. Like, he makes it,
the whole thing is about a man grooming a underage girl. She's going to bed with him.
Well, that's a read. She's not underage in the Romeo and Juliet version. Keep up to 100. She's not underage. Well, not clearly underage in the Baz Luhrmann version.
She's been groomed though.
Well, she is an innocent young thing, but she's not 14. She's not 14 in either. Like they're kind of age appropriate for each other in the Luhrmann version, so that it can be a bit romantic. He goes to the priest, who is his friend, Friar Lawrence. He tells them the idea. Friar Lawrence is kind of the voice of reason, mostly, although he does a lot of dumb shit still. And he kind of, calls him out, and he says, you were obsessed with Rosaline, and now you've moved on to this girl. And he says, but, and this is kind of where Friar Lawrence... he's great, but he's like the smartest guy in the room, right? He thinks he's much better at planning these schemes than he is. But I will still marry you two, because I think that it may bring peace to your families. So that he agrees.
He's just bullshit. Because he doesn't want to cock block Romeo.
No. He believes that this is a terrible idea, but actually it may bring peace between. And like this is a big thing, like, because the Capulet Montague feud is not just like between these families. Like it is the major issue of Verona. Like, these are two major, wealthy, powerful families who are fighting in the street all the time. There's massive riots. Like, it is fucking things up for the people of the city. It's a serious issue. So Friar Lawrence is like, okay, we could solve this.
I feel like the whole thing is a bit of a disaster. And we know what happens, because they both end up dead.
Right. They go and get married. Nurse goes out.
What? So, they've... Okay, so they've met each other, they've kissed, they've fallen in the pool and gone, ooh, you can see through my top. And then,
yes, not quite, but
he's gone, so can I come to bed with you? And she's gone, what do you mean, come to bed with me? I'm so innocent. And he's gone, will you marry me? Gone and got the priest, and the next day they're fucking married.
Well,
no wonder their parents are pissed.
Well, hang on, the parents don't find out yet.
Okay.
And in fact, I think that's a bit of a throwaway line. It certainly implies, that they are meant to be, I guess, in love, but kind of in this very superficial way. Like, I don't think it's meant to really be just sex-based, but it's certainly not
They're
love.
Infatuated.
Yeah, infatuated, exactly. It's an infatuation. Nurse does, Nurse is in on the scheme. She helps Juliet organise to get married, and they get married. But Tybalt is...
And it's a big but.
Tybalt is still... So this is the next day.
Okay.
After the party. They're married already. Tybalt is still mad about the party. And he turns up...
The cousin.
The cousin Tybalt. He turns up to see Benvolio and Mercutio hanging out on the beach.
Two boys?
Yeah, the two boys. He starts a bit of an argument with them, and then Romeo shows up. And he says, Romeo, you're a villain. And then his manservant starts to prepare his gun, because they're going to have
Why does he have a manservant?
Well, I mean, I guess, I don't know, it's like his posse member, in the movie, but of course it's, they were rich Verona families in the play, so...
Oh, okay.
That's sort of, it's an adaptation from that. So, his manservant, prepares the gun for him, and Mercutio goes to do the same, and Romeo stops him, and says, Tybalt, the reason I have to love you excuses your rudeness to me. I am not a villain, so be satisfied. And Tybalt, because he doesn't want to say that he's married, because Tybalt's family now.
Okay.
Tybalt's family now, but it's a secret.
Oh, so he's like, the reason I love you.
Yeah.
Oh.
Which is because you are family. Tybalt isn't having any of it, and basically punches the shit out of his face. Mercutio is upset that Romeo's just taking a beating, and Mercutio again is nuts, and absolutely goes for...
Oh, he's the one with the eggheads.
Yeah. He goes and starts a fight, gets into the fight. Romeo tries to stop the fight, pushes himself in between them, and Tybalt stabs him with a piece of glass under his arm.
Oh.
And kills him.
Oh, Romeo's dead now.
No, sorry, Mercutio's dead.
Oh, okay.
And this is, again, Lurhman uses all this, again, that religious thing kind of comes back, so it's the sky turns grey, and, the clouds come out, and the storm begins. It's very much implied. Flashback to Juliet for a moment. She's waiting for Romeo to come home. Flashback to Romeo. This time he's actually really pissed. He decides to fight Tybalt.
Yeah, because he killed his friend.
They crash their cars into each other intentionally.
Oh, that's... Oh.
There's a gun ends up outside of the
Is their marriage
car.
even legal?
Yeah, Friar Lawrence is a priest.
Yeah, but don't you have to do it through the registry office as well? Priests can do it, but then it's just you can get married under common law. And...
Yeah, I mean, the play, the script is relative to the time it was written.
Yeah, true.
So, it's certainly, we're not meant to think that it's a sham marriage or anything. It gets out the car, they go for the gun. And I think Tybalt gets the gun. And Romeo's pretty mad. For whatever reason, he holds the gun to his own head, Tybalt puts it to his head, and he grabs at it and holds it to his head, because kind of, again, fatal flaws, Tybalt is just incredibly aggressive, and it's almost like Lurhman's kind of taken that as he's a dog chasing a car. Once he's got one, he's oh fuck, what do I do with this? He's because when he kills Mercutio, he's you can see it on his face, he's just what the fuck? What do I do now? It's almost I never thought that if I just fucking harassed everyone and all the time and threatened them with my gun, that would eventually get someone killed. Nobody in this is thinking.
It's dumb boy shit.
Yeah. So Romeo kind of holds it to his head. He's taken by surprise, because Romeo's got this super death drive going on. Drops the gun. Tybalt steps back. Romeo picks it up. And again, the iconography, the symbolism here is almost a bit much. It's almost a bit on the nose. Stands back at the top of a fountain, and Romeo, bang, 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 shoots him dead, and he falls backwards into the pond that is at the feet of a gigantic concrete statue of Christ. So again, it's Jesus, it's fate, it's God, it's destiny, and to an Elizabethan, they're all the same, kind of.
Okay.
So he's like, oh shit, what do I do now? There's a crime scene set up. Captain Prince is there. Everyone's, the Capulets are begging for Romeo to be killed, and Prince takes mercy on him and says...
Is this Prince Paris?
No, Captain Prince. So Captain Prince is the police chief.
Oh my god. Does he like Purple Rain?
Yeah.
Is he the same?
No, he's not. It's not Prince. It's not actually Prince.
Is he the same one that Juliet was wanting to marry?
Juliet is looking at marrying the County Paris.
Oh, I thought she was marrying Prince Paris.
No, he's not a prince.
Oh,
there's no princes in this. It's contemporary. That's why the prince.
Prince is in contemporary.
Yeah, but not yet. Anyway, it's America as well. So, Captain Prince is.
I bet there's a lot of princes.
Exiles.
In the States.
What?
I don't know.
Captain Prince exiles Romeo, and Romeo trips balls over it. He is not grateful at all. And again, like...
How can you exile someone if you're not a prince?
I guess the idea is like...
It's banished.
For whatever reason, it's like banished. It's like, within the police chief's powers to exile a person. Somehow. That is made... we just accept it. We just accept that police can exile people still.
Okay.
Romeo's pissed, and the priest gives him a gutful for it because he's like, you should be grateful, man. Like you could have been killed, you could have been death penalty, and you survived. Like, you should be grateful. So they concoct a new plan. Not really a plan yet. Oh yeah, they sort of do concoct a new plan. They're going to send... Romeo's going to comfort Juliet on their wedding night, so they are going to have their wedding night. He's then going to sneak off in the morning to Mantua. Then he's going to...
They been married already, though? So
they're already... Yeah.
How are they not having... How have they not had a wedding night?
Because this is all in...
There's a buzzard hovering.
Oh, yeah. This is all in one day. So they've gotten married. Romeo's gone to the beach to see his friends.
Two people are dead.
Yeah, two
already.
people are dead. And then Romeo's now going...
He only just met her yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and again, we're not sort of celebrating this. Like, it's very... I think it's pretty clear that we're meant to be critical of them for rushing into things. And again, the priest kind of says so explicitly.
Okay.
Romeo and Juliet have their wedding night. Romeo leaves, goes to Mantua.
Oh yeah, because he's got to leave, because he's been told you have to leave. Yeah.
Juliet is devastated, and her father, who in the Lurhman version is drunk, her father decides with Paris that, because he's been saying, no, you have to wait, my daughter's too young to get married.
Oh.
Then turns around and says, actually, let's do it for Juliet. She's too sad, so let's cheer her up.
And get her married. And she's already married, which is against the law.
Yeah. So she's to be married. She's very upset. She says no. The father, and it's quite extraordinary in the play, her father goes from 0 to 1,000 really quick. So suddenly he's like, you're a tallow face, you're carrying baggage, like, if you don't get married...
Face. That's an insult, isn't it?
Yeah, if you don't get married, you can hang, beg, die in the street, I'll give you to my friend, you can do what you want, but you are dead to me. So it kind of actually makes more sense in Lurhman's version, because he's obviously quite drunk. Yes. So and he's also very sick with grief, because he's lost his cousin, or his what would she be? His nephew.
Yes.
she goes to the priest. The nurse isn't even on her side anymore. The nurse is like, nah, look, like, Romeo's dead, or he's as good as dead. You should give up on it. She goes to the priest and pulls out a gun and says, I will shoot myself in the head if you don't help me escape this marriage. And something we haven't, something I didn't tell you, the first time we see the priest, he's like teaching a class on botany. So he's also like a herbs guy. He's also like...
Oh, okay, so he supplies the poison.
Well, he supplies like a fake poison to Juliet. He's like, this will make you appear dead. And then we will hide you in the tomb, we'll sneak Romeo back in, or we'll sneak you out or something, I don't remember what it is, and we'll get you to Mantua, and then we'll reconcile your family. So his scheme kind of gets a bit more layered and crazy every time.
She isn't dead, he thinks she's dead, kills himself, and then she knows he's dead and then kills herself, isn't that right?
Essentially that's what's about to happen.
Yes, yeah. Okay.
So... So
never trust a priest? Is that the moral?
That could be I think that's been said before. Yeah, so to hurry it along
there is one priest I like, Father Brown.
Yes, I know. To hurry it along to this sort of, where we've got to in it. He goes to Mantua, she pretends to die, she's put in the tomb.
He comes back to visit her.
Now, in this case, I don't know if it's explained. Oh, no, it is sort of explained. Balthazar, which is his manservant.
Balthazar, I like that name. I think I'm going to name a rat Balthazar.
Balthazar sees that Juliet is dead, seems dead, reports it to Romeo, and in the play, like, the priest sends another priest to give a message. In this version, it's like a FedEx guy. And it really underlines how fickle Romeo is. He doesn't get the letter, first because he's like not in his because it's like a shitty motorhome or something. Because he's out the back like hitting rocks like a baseball bat across the desert. So he doesn't get the notice from the priest to say what the scheme is.
The scheme is actually she's not there.
Then as he races out of his house, he knocks the "sorry we missed you" off the door, so that he misses that. And then he's in such a hurry to drive off that they actually have to drive around the FedEx guy who is coming again to try and deliver the message. So it really underscores, that. He goes in the city. In the play, he actually murders Paris as well. Like, Paris is there to pay his respects to Juliet at midnight for some reason. Thinks that Romeo's there to mutilate the bodies, and he murders Paris. In the, they fight and he dies. In the Baz Luhrmann, in basically every adaptation, they take that out. Because it just sort of, it takes the pace away. And we're meant to be feeling sympathetic for Romeo at this point.
I don't really have any sympathy for him.
He goes into the crypt, drinks the poison, and in the play he dies, and then Juliet wakes up. In Lurhman's version, Juliet wakes up just in time to see him drink the poison.
Oh, great.
Fall over, she kisses him, and he says, "With a kiss I die," and dies. She is unhappy, as you would imagine. In the original, so there's a lot of stuff getting cut out here, I guess, for time. In the original, the priest finds her and she convinces him to leave.
Wait. Why is there actual poison there? Because isn't the poison
sorry.
Poison?
Yeah, so I missed a bit. So on the way out from Mantua,
do they plant the poison?
No. On the way out from Mantua, Romeo visits an apothecary, which is a dealer of illegal poison.
So he's planning to kill himself.
Yeah, so he goes there with the intent to kill himself and lie beside Juliet. So he picks up a real poison.
Last week he didn't know.
Yeah. He drinks the poison. She sees he's dead, or him dying. She sees him die.
I always have. Everything I've ever heard about this is that it's a disaster.
Yeah.
I am feeling like I am quite pleased that I avoided anything to do with this play or this movie my entire life.
But no, it's a lot of fun. Yeah, but I mean, it's you're meant to anyway. You're meant to respond to it in a certain way. Juliet sees the priest and tells him to go away. In the play, they skip that out. Instead, she sees his gun, which is a dagger, because in the play she stabs herself with a dagger. In our movie, she shoots herself in the head with a dagger, falls down dead. And then the next thing we see is the body's being put into a thing. The parents are there, and Captain Prince kind of comes out and says, all are punished. Everyone has been punished.
But isn't Prince dead?
Captain Prince?
Yeah.
No. No, in the play, in the play, Paris is killed.
Oh, okay.
But Paris is still alive in our movie.
Okay.
Because we don't see Romeo kill him.
Paris isn't the prince.
No, Paris is like the most eligible bachelor in Verona.
Okay. And the moral of that story is?
Well, I guess to an Elizabethan.
I have to say, I am so unimpressed with that. So unimpressed. Do you know how that could have all been avoided?
Yeah, like that's the point.
It could have all been avoided if the two families decided, we don't get along, let's just completely have nothing to do with each fucking other.
I think part of the point of it is sort of saying that because everybody has been violating every sort of natural law, everybody has been, denying authority, denying their parents, denying God, essentially, as well. And kind of, it's such a bad situation that God himself concocts a scheme to punish the families for their wrongdoing by taking their children away from them. And the prince even says that.
To raise idiot kids.
Right.
Because if you're going to raise your daughter to fall in love innocently with a man that she's prepared to run away with, marry, and kill herself for, all in the space of 48 hours, I would be pretty disappointed as a mother.
Right. Well, I mean, again, that's kind of the point of the play and of the movie. Is that we're not impressed. We're not impressed with the behaviour of the Montagues or the Capulets. It's all a bit of a mess. How do we want to round this out? Do you want to give it a rate of this movie you haven't seen? Do you want to give it like a rating out of 10?
Okay, out of 10.
Or 5, or whatever.
Maybe out of 5 stars, because usually they're out of 5 stars. Movie reviews.
Okay.
I give it a 3.5 out of 10. Out of 5.
Out of 5.
Out of 5.
So that's still positive.
3.5 out of 5.
Okay. Alright. That's Romeo and Juliet. Thank you.